Hey everybody, this is Chris Burkard and I'm here today to do a gear review. I'm really just going to go over some of the essentials that I take with me on my trips. I did one about a year ago and that was really focused on a cold water surf trip and packing wetsuits and fins and all kind of the essentials. And this gear review is a little more packed for kind of going into the mountains, maybe traveling super light and just kind of any normal photographic assignment that I would go on. Now this is going to be really techy, so anyone who's not into all the essentials in the gear, bear with me. First things first, never travel without a solid neck pillow. This thing is basically saved my life on a lot of different trips. I can't express enough how much of a bummer it is to get somewhere and just feel like the plane totally wrecked you. So this is basically the first line of defense I have in terms of being prepared when I get to my location. Now, these are my two essentials. I always bring on the plane with me everything I need to shoot the job or whatever the assignment is. Nothing comes with me that I don't need for that. So camera essentials, laptop stuff to back everything up, it's all with me right here. I usually try to only take with me what I can carry, meaning like I don't want to have to bring somebody extra to carry bags or do anything like that. And obviously some instances you can't really help that, but try to avoid it as best you can. So when you're dealing with late connections or you're dealing with getting to locations, it really helps. Now a little preface here. What I have right here is I have two bags, and what you'll notice is neither of them are actually camera bags. This is a Mountain Smith Daylight lumbar pack, and it is outfitted to use with a camera, but it's not a dedicated camera backpack. This is a Black Diamond. This is a Black Diamond ski pack, and it's like a 40-liter pack. And as you can tell, it's also not a camera bag. And one of the reasons I do that is because I don't want to scream that I'm a photographer. It helps to make the experience more rich, and I feel like it also doesn't give you a big, hello, I'm a photographer sign to people who might want to steal your stuff or whatever. So this is a ski backpack. It's extremely waterproof, materials on the outside, extremely rugged. I've always found that anytime I use a backpack that has a back opening, like a camera bag, it tends to compromise the packability and the way that the harness system works. So for me, I want to have something that I can haul up the mountain, I can go wherever I'm going. So I tend to find that by using a backpack that's dedicated for that use, it really helps me along the way than using some kind of camera bag that's sort of meant to go into those situations. So like I said, this is a Black Diamond Revelation 40, and I'm going to break down the way that I use this thing. But first, let's get to this guy. So this is the bag that I shoot with every single day in, day out. This is my camera bag. I will usually have a backpack on me, but this is kind of what I end up packing my cameras in. But when I travel to the location I'm going to, this bag doubles as a pack that I use for my essentials for the plane. Books, sunglasses, things like that, my cards, my passport, all those things usually sits inside here. So first thing, laptop. I've got a Macbook Air, really lightweight, really small. This thing is really just used for two things: backing up images and browsing the internet or booking flights or whatever. In addition to that, iPhone 6s. This is kind of the two essentials, I feel like. And you know what I find is that nowadays, phones are so powerful that I'm probably using this more than anything to post images when I'm on the road, if my job I'm doing is actually for social media or sharing content. So those are kind of the two, computer devices I'm bringing with me. In this bag on the plane, I'll also have just an essential kit full of all of my cables, things like that. Everything from, inverters, European inverters, something like that, to to laptop charging cable. I've got a Scosche kind of 2-in-1 wall charger, as well as a little car charger there. I try to pack everything super light and go minimal, so I'll have things like this where it's a USB charger to 3 different, micro USB, lightning bolt, and the older Apple charger, as well as some small lightning USB. So if I need to charge my phone, I don't have this big long cable coming out. It's something I can put in my jacket pocket or something. I've got, a couple different awesome little essentials in here. One of them being this little ChargeCard. It's made by a company called Nomad, I think, and it basically is just a lightning pin iPhone charger, but it's really thin and actually can fit in your wallet, so you always have one with you. Second, one of my favorite things is these Bose headphones that are noise canceling. And you'll see this little deal on here, right here, and basically you turn this on and it just cuts all noise. So when I don't know about you, but I'm a terrible sleeper on planes, so this is extremely helpful for traveling and going places where I just need to sleep, need to zone out, you're editing or something like that. Always bringing an auxiliary cable. I mean, these things are essential just for basically being in a car stuck with one CD. That thing will really help out. Also, micro USB, a couple different USB wall chargers. Now these are really crucial, and I'll get to why later, but I'm using mirrorless cameras, small Sony mirrorless cameras, and these chargers actually can charge the camera. So the beauty of that is that you can, smaller capacity batteries like lithium ions that are used for mirrorless cameras, you can actually charge through the camera through a USB port. So this is all I need, in addition to my battery charger as well. But this is just an emergency backup, and the great part about this is I can charge my cameras on the go with this system. And bigger cameras, they can't do that. So that's one of the perks. Now I also bring these little guys. You can find these on Amazon. I'm not sure if you can see them. These are little tiny, lightning pin adapters for iPhone. So if I'm in a bind and I need to charge up my phone or download some images, I can stick this guy onto one of these and it doubles. So rather than bringing a bunch of iPhone cables and a bunch of USB, I've got kind of both in one. That's that little kit there. Ursa Major, little wipe for planes, whatever it is, you're sweaty, you're on the plane, you got to go to a meeting, who knows. These things are amazing and they're pretty much game changing. I like shove these into every packet and orifice of place that I travel my bags. What else do I have in this little bag? Sunglasses, Northern Lights sunglasses. I spend a lot of time in cold, freezing conditions, and your eyes take a huge beating when you're staring at water all day, when you're staring into the snow. So I actually helped develop these glasses with Northern Lights, and they just have some sunshades on the side, and you feel super cool. So this is why I wear these guys. Usually I'll bring like a backup pair of sunglasses if I'm going to be thrashing them or like in kayaking or doing something else as well. In here as well, Spot, locator, sat phone. I've got 3 different devices used by Spot, and this is just my emergency sat phone device. And I never really turn the thing on ever unless it's a absolute emergency situation. I need to text home or call somebody or whatever. But this is a great option if you are going out for a couple nights into the backcountry, into the woods, in the mountains, whatever, or on a boat. Always bring a small Petzel headlamp. I usually bring a couple headlamps, but the one I like to put in my bag is this really minimal, lightweight one. It all zips into the back here, runs off AAA batteries. So what else do I have in here? Batteries. I've got a handful of batteries for my camera. I usually carry 2 battery packs, usually a total of about 10 or 12 batteries on the road, including what's in my cameras as well. But these battery packs and my memory card wallet always stay right in my bag with me all times. Okay, so this is a memory card wallet I'm traveling with. Usually a mixture of Sony and SanDisk memory cards, 64 and 128 gigabytes. I'll explain why such high capacity later, but this is essentially my basics for that. One of the things you can never have enough of is just cleansing cloths. I usually put like wipe cloths, like 3 or 4 of them just in every bag I'm using in, just so that if I need them, they're somewhere. I know that I can reach into a pocket and they'll be there. This bag's got like 4 of them, I think, so I'll shove some in the others and whatnot, but that'll be in there. And one epic hack that I've used a ton is if you guys are in wet conditions, the hard part about this is I can't go over every piece of gear that I would bring for every scenario because it's all different. If you're going to be in a really wet environment, one of the best things to do is to go get microfiber cloths, actually a microfiber towel. And what I would do is just cut them into 4 pieces, right? And one of the best parts about that is you can just like punch a little hole through, get a little tiny carabiner, and you can attach that to the inside of your bag or something like that. So you always have that microfiber cloth. And the beauty of that is it's soft enough to clean your lens, but it's also dry enough, or it'll absorb enough water to like drape over your camera. If you're shooting a time lapse, you don't want to get condensation on there. Also really works well for just pulling water off. Now all the bags I have, they have this little kit on there. And it's basically just, it's a little carabiner that's attached to this little clip in my bag. And on this thing I have a light. I've got another lens cleaning cloth, as well as a little multi-tool, like if I need to change a tripod plate, if I need to, you know, who knows, there's like 20 different little tools on here, as well as chapstick. So I can't tell you how many times someone's like, oh, you know, do you have chapstick? Do you have chapstick? Oh, it's in the front of the bag. Just so this is kind of like my essentials. I always just have it in there. It really helps because I feel like these are the things I always need. So that really is awesome to have. Let's find out what else is in here. So that is it for the sides. Nothing on the side. This side, cool. First charger. So this is my Goal Zero Flip 20, and the beauty of this guy right here is that it will charge your phone. It will charge your camera. It's powerful enough to you know, recharge an entire battery or two on the Sony cameras, as well as recharge an iPhone twice. So this is something I've always got on me, and probably one of the most important things you can have in any of your pockets, side bags, is an OlloClip. So this is the OlloClip for the 6 and the 6S, or the 6 Plus rather, and it's got I use the telephoto and the wide angle. You know, you can kind of set these up however you want, but this is the one that I like because I tend to use these two lenses the most. They're really helpful for video too if you want to shoot something super wide, but you have to crop in for video, right? So this lens allows you to really widen out a bit prior to that crop. OlloClips are super helpful, you know, being able to just pop your phone on here and use the thing anytime is pretty awesome. So yeah. Anyway, cool. Moving on, we have this bag, and I think this is really all the essentials that were inside of it. So that's that. Now I want to show you how this bag ultimately works with the rest of my kit. So let's push all this kind of off to the side here, and let's first of all go to the backpack. So backpack, like I said, boom. You'll notice no exterior pockets. It's really streamlined. Really, the nice thing about it is it actually fits to your back and really works well there. So first things first, water bottle. It's a Mizu water bottle, one of their glass-coated ones. The reason I like this is because when I'm in locations where you actually need to filter water, you need to be able to get in there and actually filter it with my SteriPen. So I need to be able to have a big opening. Can't always use a metal bottle for that. This thing travels super well. Never had any issues with it. Also, tripod fits right in the front of this whole entire pouch. This is a Really Right Stuff tripod, and they are a local company in San Luis Obispo. I've used their tripods for years. Some of my favorite pieces of equipment. They are just super strong, really, really stable, and they can hold like, I don't know, like 100 pounds or something ridiculous. Not that I ever need that, but the beauty is being able to have a really stable foundation for time lapses, leaving your camera up overnight, long exposures, things like that. So this tripod is something that always travels with me, and usually I'll bring a smaller tripod in another bag as well for a littler, tinier cameras. Nice thing about this is for the size and the height, it's actually one of the tallest tripods you can get. Eye level with me, having something else that fits into that small of a package that's this large is hard to come by. So, front pocket. All right, another really useful device. Now, this is a spot locator. Now, it's different than the sat phone because you can't actually call anybody out, but you can pre-program messages, 3 messages you can send to people. Now, this is epic because if I'm going on a super lightweight mission in the mountains and I just want to bring something just in case, this guy takes up literally no space. It can fit in your camera bag. It's no big deal. If I'm going overnight, usually I'll bring the sat phone or something, but this one is just, it's awesome to have. And the reason I keep it in this bag is because it doubles as a locator beacon as well, in case this bag gets stolen or something like that. So it's kind of awesome. You can send an SOS signal, you can send 3 text messages, send a message to your wife, to your friends, to your family, whatever, as well as, you know, locate where this is, which is awesome. So nothing else in the front pouch. Let's move to this top lid. What do I got in here? In here, so in this top lid right here, I have my second Goal Zero charger. This is the Venture 30. The reason I love this one is because it's hydrophobic ports, waterproof basically, shockproof, freeze-proof, the whole deal. It also has a built-in cable that allows me to charge micro USB, so I can actually charge the camera directly off of this with nothing else. Also has a little built-in light, which is awesome. And it can tell me when it's fully charged. This is something that really was the game changer for me. I helped develop with them, and it's been something that's made me able to go out further and deeper and not worry about battery life. Western Digital hard drives. I usually travel with 2 of these. The thing I love about this is it's actually a little baby Pelican case for the hard drive made by Western Digital. And this system is great because you can keep your hard drive in here. You never even have to remove it. Put your cable in there and upload to your computer, whatever you need. Also has a carabiner hook, and it's super safe to kind of get beat up and stuff as well. So I usually carry 2 of these, one to have a backup as well, so I'm never storing anything on my computer. Another thing too is that memory cards are the smallest, lightest weight storage you'll ever need. Now, they're pretty pricey at the same time, but if you're in an emergency situation, what I recommend doing is just never deleting your cards in addition to backing this up, because that's a 3rd storage that you can have. So that's that. I also have my second light, which is usually I try to always have a waterproof one, and this is the Storm that's a rechargeable one from Black Diamond. The beauty of these USB rechargeable ones is they usually have a good waterproof rating, so if I'm in really bad weather, you know, kayaking, whatever, this thing's awesome to use. This is my little Ditty bag, and I'm not gonna break down everything in here, but basically, just so you know, it is a tiny little kit that I put in my camera bags when I'm out shooting night exposures or whatever. I've got a remote, infrared remote. I have a little cable release, electronic cable release cable that I can plug in if I'm shooting a time lapse or I'm shooting something else. I have an emergency memory card, a little 64 gig emergency memory card in here. I also have tools for my tripods right here. Little baby carabiner, another lens cloth, rubber band, and these guys. Now you're probably wondering what these guys are, and we're going to get to them in a second, but these are basically these little locking systems that you can use with the Peak Design neck straps. So they go on your camera so you can lock in. They can also go on bags if you want to make a neck strap really easy. These are worth their weight in gold, and I carry a couple extra in case I want to throw them on something else. Now let's get into the meat of the bag. So, I'm going to first just take everything out of here so you can kind of see what's inside. Boom. Bag is now completely empty as well. So, what do I have in here? First things first, I have my filter kit. Now, this is the #1 filter I probably use on trips. This is a graduated neutral density filter, meaning the top is dark and the bottom is light. So if you're shooting into a sunset, you put this in front of the camera, right, and it darkens the sky and evens the exposure out. Awesome filter to have. I believe this brand is Lucroit, is the brand that makes these ones, and they are based in Europe, but there's a lot of other brands that make them. Personally, I don't have an absolute preference. This one's really good, but there are others that work awesome as well. I've got this guy too. This is another filter kit that I'm using. This little strap is just in case you want to tie it to something or attach it, make sure nothing falls out. And in here I've got a basic set of filters. What these are is there's only 2 types of filters I'm using. It is a neutral density, meaning instead of being the graduated where it's dark and light, this is just purely dark. So when you're looking through this, it'll darken your exposure like 8 stops. And what it allows you to do is go and shoot a waterfall in the middle of the day and darken it down so that it slows down the exposure, allowing you to get milky look or longer exposure, whatever it is. The other filter that I have in here is a circular polarizer. So I've got a number of circular polarizers, meaning they basically spin and rotate. And what that does is the circular polarizer allows you to enhance and bring contrast to your images. It also cuts reflection, which is really important for if you're shooting into bright sun, or if you're shooting into a surface of water and you want to bring out that really green, deep, rich color, or blue, whatever it is. Polarizers work really well, and I use them actually almost all the time except for night exposures. Oftentimes people think that they're only for bright blue skies, but they actually work really well cutting reflections out of leaves and trees and grass, and it brings a lot more color to your image. So I kind of have one for each of the main lenses I'm using. That's why I've got like 6 filters in here. But this is a really small, lightweight kit, all fits together. So let me just go over first these cameras, and then I'll show you how it kind of works with this little side bag. Let's see. first setup. This is my main camera bag. This is the main two lenses I use on almost any trip. Everything else is really in addition to these, or a specialty, I would consider it. What I have here is I have my 24-70. It's just an all-around great lens. It's the Zeiss model made for Sony. And this is a 16-35 Zeiss lens made for Sony. And these are both kind of just my go-to lenses I use on almost every trip. As you can see around here, I have my circular polarizer already on there, right? So you basically rotate the polarizer until you get the enhancement that you like. I find that between these two lenses, I'm usually covering almost every length that I need. The 16-35 is really what I use for a lot of my landscape work, a lot of my close-up kind of long exposure nature. Usually when you're shooting things like northern lights or you're shooting the stars, you want a wide lens because you're showing not only the ground but the sky as well. So you're going to need like a 24, 16, 18, something like that. A 35 is almost the longest length I ever use for nighttime work or landscape work. So the camera. This camera is the Sony a7R II. It's basically my favorite camera I've ever used. It shoots 4K internal. It has a 40 megapixel sensor, and the package, the entire thing is ultra lightweight, small, and it can almost fit into a large jacket pocket. The reason that I started using these was mainly because I liked the reactionary feel. The fact that I could turn it on and look through the screen and see exactly what the exposure was, and I wasn't fiddling, chimping with my images. I was able to just look and see. So the Sony a7R II, amazing camera. I have been using Sony for about 6 years, and it's these small mirrorless cameras that I've found to be really powerful. Also, the sensor is just incredible. It has 14 stops at a dynamic range, which is kind of unheard of in its class for its size, and which basically means that you can approach a scene that's extremely harsh light, and you can bring a lot of color, a lot of contrast out of it as well. A couple other things that I really enjoyed: the tiltable screen, being able to look down on the screen while you're shooting. If you're shooting a subject or something, you can keep your eye contact and you can just kind of fire away. And that's the shutter right now. You can kind of fire away without breaking contact with the eyes, or you can kind of aim the screen down and look above your head, right, and shoot something. It has a stabilized sensor, meaning that it has basically 5 tiny little stabilizers on the sensor that allow you to basically shoot this at a 15th of a second or a little slower handheld. I've had really good results with that. It also helps a lot for video or shooting in the water. So enough about this camera. If you want to look at more specs, I'll try and put a link in the bottom of this article. But I love this thing. It's my go-to. I usually travel with 2 of these on every trip, 1 and a backup. And it's kind of my go-to system. Now, these little things you're seeing, these little wings on here, right? What are they? How do they work? Well, this is like one of my favorite pieces I've ever used. It's from Peak Design. It's a company based in San Francisco, and they make amazing camera straps. Super light, really thin, like unbreakable material. And I guess after having enough camera straps fail on me or cameras break, I went to a system that I knew was reliable. And so the nice thing about this is you just have it on, have it off. Camera's on you right now. You can adjust this strap super easily. And if you want to take it off, you just literally pop this little guy off, and it has like a little plate that allows you to pop it in, pop it off. So these are called anchors, these little guys. And it's just a really great system and really easy to use for when you're switching cameras or when you're kind of getting to where you want to be and you want to throw these on. I also use their straps for a lot of bags I use as well. On the bottom here, I've got one of their plates. It's basically a just Arca Swiss plate that works universally with almost any tripod head. And these things are something that use all the time. So we pack those back in here. Once again, 24-70. I find that most of the time, I'm often shooting the longest length is at 70 millimeter. I also bring a 24-70 that I'll get to as well, but I feel like this lens length ends up covering almost everything I need. So put that back in there. Move this aside over here. And let's go to my next camera bag. Now, what you're looking at here, these are these little tiny camera pouches made by Crumpler. I don't work with them at all, but I've really liked these pouches, and the reason why is because I'll show you, but they can actually fit into my shoulder bag. But these things just cinch up really quickly. I can kind of protect them from the rain like this. They're padded, and they're not too padded. They're not like this big bulky thing that I have to shove in there. So they really are easy to use in that capacity. In here, I have a 7200 with a polarizer on it. This is the Sony's 7200 f4. For me, I love this lens because it's really small, lightweight, and I've never actually had a reason to have or want a 7200 2.8, because usually when I'm shooting that lens length, I'm shooting action or surfing, and I don't really need that shallow of a depth of field. But that's just my personal style of shooting. In here, I have a Sony A7S. This is a specialty camera, and it's actually made for night exposures. Now, this A7S is amazing alternative to the A7R2. They're very different though. Typically on most jobs I would bring two A7R2s because I like those a little more. But if I'm going to shoot specifically night exposures, long exposures, or high ISO, the A7S usually comes with me. And because that's what it's made for. It's made for high ISO shooting. Still has all the great features, right? It's got direct manual focus too, which means when you go to focus on your image, you can zoom in and really get accurate focus, which is really helpful for the stars. This lens I have on here is interesting. It's a fisheye that is on top of a 28mm. So it's basically two lenses in one. And a lot of times that would seem really gimmicky, but these lenses I've found to be really sharp. I've tested them. This is the Sony 28mm, right? And then this is the fisheye adapter. You throw it on here, you only lose like a half of a stop. So it's like, I think it's like f2.8 and you get to like f3.5 by putting this on. This lens is really sharp, corner to corner. I've used it a lot for night exposures and long exposures. Some of the recent stuff I shot in Switzerland was with this setup, and I think that the amount of chromatic aberration and stuff is actually really surprising. There's hardly any. So this is a really awesome setup that I use, or I bring oftentimes. These guys are here. Now this little bag, you'll notice this guy's kind of set up to be its own little shoulder bag. And the reason I have it like that is in case I need to go somewhere and use a little bit lighter weight setup, this is kind of what I'll do. And this inside here, I've got quite a few things. This is where I'll store my extra cameras, extra lenses, stuff that I'm not usually bringing because typically I'm working in and out of one of these at a time. I'm never working out of two. I'm usually just bringing what I need. If I'm shooting night exposures, I'll bring something different. If I'm shooting normal daytime stuff, it's this. But in this kit, I've got a couple of specialty lenses that I really like. This is the new Batiste Zeiss lens. It's an f2, extremely sharp. It's one of the most amazing image quality lenses I've ever used, and it just came out. I've been using that quite a bit. Used it a lot in Switzerland on my last trip and in the Dolomites in Italy. So that goes into here. I also have a Sony A6000. Now this A6000 is a camera, I've told a lot of people this, it's basically the little brother to the A7R2, meaning it has a tiny bit smaller sensor, but it actually has a lot of improvements over the other camera, meaning it has 11 frames a second shooting capability, meaning you can shoot really fast action with it. It also has a much faster autofocus, so this camera is kind of optimized for shooting sports. When you pair this thing with a 7200, it makes an epic setup because the crop sensor allows this thing to be about a 100 to 300. So really cool for shooting action. The lens on here is a 16 to 70 Zeiss, which basically equates in 35mm terms to about a 24 to 105. This camera's great. Really enjoyed using it pretty much everywhere I go, and it's kind of the one thing that I always bring. If I'm shooting somewhere where it's cold, I'll throw this guy on my jacket, and I'll shove it underneath. If I'm shooting, off a snowmobile, off a jet ski, or off somewhere that I just want to protect something and get little snapshots, this is kind of the one that I'm bringing. And also it's great too because you can just, you can look at the screen, scroll with one finger and get your exposure and then fire away. You don't really have to use the eyepiece, although the eyepiece is a really amazing tool as well. So in addition to that, I also bring with me on all my trips, just because I like to bring this Nikon AW1. And what this is, it's basically a fully waterproof camera that has interchangeable lenses, and looks a little crazy, but it's actually a really powerful little system. The sensor is a tiny bit smaller than this, but still really good and usable for print or any type of campaign you really need to shoot most of the time. The beauty of this camera is what you see is what you get, no housing needed. So a lot of times I'm traveling somewhere, especially shooting landscapes or and I want to get a different perspective, I will bring this guy and I'll just, you know, shove it halfway in the water or shoot something underwater. It just allows me to really expand my creativity. Right here, this is like a 10 millimeter, so it's like a kind of like a fisheye, and then this is a little zoom lens that they have for it right here. That's a 11 to 27, so like a 24 to 70 kind of thing. These two things, really small, really light, easy to bring. Let me break down what else I have in here. This guy, I always bring a little adapter because most of the time you don't want to be bringing multiple ports like this. You just want to basically bring something you can shove into the wall, charge as much as you can. This has got 2 USB adapters, which is great. I've got kind of a plethora of cables here, everything from iPhone to micro USB to whatever, just a backup. I have my camera charger. Now, I said one of the great things is that these smaller cameras I was showing you, like this, you don't need to charge the batteries in this. You can actually just charge it from a USB and one of these little micro USB cables straight into the port on the side, which is really nice. So just having the option is nice. I tend to usually charge cameras from there, from this guy as well as from this. So extra batteries as well. Here is my 7-8 extra batteries in addition to the ones I have in the camera. So this kind of bag right here doubles as like my charging kit, my extra cameras, anything else I need in there that I might potentially need for the trip. So it all shoves in, and my favorite part about this thing is that it actually tightens up really easily, and it's made by a brand called Kinesis. It's out of Utah, and they make kind of like almost custom camera bags, really lightweight stuff. This guy's great. Now I want to move on to, now that I kind of went over my cameras, I want to just really quickly show you how this kind of system works. Meaning, I'm off the plane, I get to location, I'm finally, where I need to be, whether it's in my car and I'm traveling by car for 2 weeks, or I'm on the road, or whatever it is. A lot of this stuff I don't want to bring with me on my day-to-day walking around shooting, or in my backpack, right? So what I'll usually do is I'll put this stuff somewhere safe, whether it's in my roller bag or whatever it is, and I will take one of these guys and I will just shove this thing inside of here, and it's good to go. So this is now my camera bag, right? And if I'm outfitting my camera bag, what am I going to put in here? Well, I'm going to put my memory cards, I'm going to put my batteries, I'm going to put my cleansing cloths and my little kit right here. I will have a charger on me at all times, just in case the batteries go dead, or just in case I need to charge a phone. I'll have this entire little Ditty kit that I will shove in here, and ultimately this whole system right here is basically everything I need for a day out shooting, in addition to like a little lightweight headlamp that I'll shove into the side. So the reason I love this system right here is because basically I can wear this thing over my shoulder. I have plenty of space to work with it right here. Get into my cameras, get out of my cameras. It's nice and open, and it's lightweight, and I'm not putting my backpack down to grab cameras in and out all the time, because that's not the way I like to shoot. I like to be able to get into my cameras and get out pretty frequently. So this thing tends to work really well, and if you are dealing with rain, you can just cinch this up, or you can really quickly kind of zip this guy up like that, and it's totally good to go. Can tighten it, do whatever you need, whole things like that. And then again, if I'm going out at night, need to shoot night exposures, I'll just swap these. I'll put this into my backpack, or I'll switch some lenses out, and I will just put this whole entire kit into here. If at any time I do need to go to location and have a lot of gear with me, I've got my backpack, I can bring the whole entire kit and caboodle. But this is kind of the way I like to travel, and it makes it kind of seamless. These bags can kind of double as two different things. If I need to go into the backcountry and I need to take out all my cameras and just bring something small, I can bring one camera, one lens, and use this backpack as my multi-night whatever bag. So that's kind of it for the camera bags and the camera systems. Now I want to go into just my normal travel bag and what I'm using for that as well.